today we're going to be troubleshooting my pump. Now it's sucking air, I know that much. So either my intake pipe here has a crack in it and it's pulling air from underground or from somewhere, or the pump itself is cavitating. So first thing I'm going to do is show you the symptom. Turn on. I don't know if we can see it down in here. Everything looks fine. Looks fine. Cool. Strong water. Watch what happens. All fine. See, it's not actually filling up though. At some point, it starts not drawing water, or it makes me a liar. That'd be funny. So I went through this already before and diagnosed it. So what it was doing, it would rush in for a while, and then this would empty out, and then it would rush in for a while, and then this would empty out. And I'm thinking I already know what's wrong with it, but I'll get to that in a minute. It looks like it's not doing it now. Of course, you know, since we're here making a video. But I think I know what's going on. So, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and go through the steps I went through to get to that point. It doesn't appear to be doing it now. It was doing it big time yesterday. So here we are at the pool. Now the first thing I did when I started having this cavitation problem is you stand here and look back at your pump, and that is your most likely route for my pipes. Now I've had this all dug up before, about 20 years ago, 25, maybe more, I don't know. So I knew where the pipes were, but so what I did was I dug down to the pipes till I could see the top of them, because I have sand. When I reburied all this, I used sand around the pipes, and I did that for a specific reason. I did that so that if I ever had another leak, which now I might have, you dig down the pipes and the water tends to want to go along the pipes if it leaks out, and it'll make that sand wet. Well, my sand was dry, so it appears that there isn't a leak there. What's up, buddy? So that's actually his name, Buddy. So anyway, next thing you do is the cheapest thing. There's an O-ring in here. So you're going to pull this apart, get your big pliers and pull it apart. I switched hands and it shut the video off. So we'll get the big pliers, we'll pull this off. And I always tend to over tighten these things, so be careful when you tighten them up. They don't have to be that tight. So we pull this off. And then you pull that back a little bit. You can see up in there, there's an O-ring. Now this is a nice new O-ring. See how it's round? And let's go to this other O-ring. So this is my other O-ring, the one I pulled out. If you'll see, it's flat. When you rub it, the rubber rubs off onto you. So this one's decayed. The flatness is the thing. So it was flattened so much that the O-ring was compressed in that groove that it rides in. And it was probably steel sealing. In fact, I'm probably going to keep this as a spare because I think it was steel sealing, because that didn't fix the problem. So the next thing you do is you build one of these. I'm going to go down the other end of it. So if you want to spend the money, you could actually have a pool company come out and they'll vacuum check your lines and they'll tell you if they're leaking or not. Or you can do this. You can build one of these. So you can see I got a 90-degree going down into the pool. And then, yeah, I actually designed the garden so that we could, because I wanted to be sure I could do this. And this will run back to your pump. What's up, Mac? So this is the other end of that bad boy. So we just want to bring it on over like so. And then we're going to loosen this nut turn this pump a little bit and try not to lose water out of that, and then we'll hook that up. So if you're getting intermittent pull, suck, no suck, suck, no suck, and you put this pipe on and then everything works great, then you know you've got a problem in your first pipe. So here we are. We've connected the bypass pipe. Going back to the pool. And turn it back on. Yeah, that's a thing I made. It's a freeze thing. So it's dry. I probably should have. Yeah, I know. This isn't going to work. I got to prime this thing. I mean, it will work, but it's really bad for your pump. Do not run dry. That's why it's making that god-awful noise. So I'm going to get the hose, fill this up, and we'll start over. Alright, take 2. That's more like it. That's going to take it a minute. Unfortunately, that's the best I can do as far as running it dry. It'll take it a minute. It's got to draw all the water up the straw. It's so nerve-wracking. You can see water's going in there. Water up the pipe. But that pipe's pretty much empty. Not a real way to fill it up. Not running dry. You can see there's a little bit of water in there. Got to slowly build up the vacuum. There it goes. See how strong that was, you know? Even though it was flowing okay, you see that filled it right up. Now one thing I did notice, so let me rephrase that. I normally will try to look for leaks in obvious places. Places are gonna leak is like on this vibrates because it's attached to the pump. So maybe that'll leak. Well, I actually noticed that this was loose whenever I was jacking around a minute ago. I could wiggle it and it's making click noises. So we're going to dig that up first. And then the other place it's likely to leak is over here. Because the pool can settle or move, or the dirt around it can move, or the basket can move. So that's another likely place for it to leak. That's where you need to start, and then you can start digging towards the middle of the pipe. The middle of the pipe typically isn't going to leak. Now look at that. See how that filled right up? Whereas before, air was definitely getting into the system. Because it didn't just fill right up like that. So what that tells me, pump's fine. Something going on with this pipe right here, the return line. I'm going to start by digging this up, because I felt it going clickety, clickety, clickety right here. And we'll see from there. So back to this clickety, clickety, clickety here. You see it? It's actually moving a lot. And it's going click, 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 click. Now, the reason I'm suspecting that it's right in here somewhere is because I moved this around, my symptoms changed. I'm doing like a head nod. So, that tells me, since I moved this around and then I was not leaking as much, I somehow affected the leak by moving this. So we're going to dig this all out and I'll be back. I don't think you need a picture of me on my hands and knees with a hand shovel. But as you can see, pump's running. I'm drawing water from the pool. It's not optimal. We're not drawing the bottom drain's not going to be working right now. But my pool is running. Speaking of which, it's daytime. Electricity's more expensive in the daytime. I run this sucker at night. So what this is, in case anybody wonders, motor bypass auto timer freeze. I got lights on the side. This is a relay system I built to go with my timer, because every so often here in South Texas we get hard freezes that are hard enough to freeze the water in this pump, freeze the water in here. So what that does is I got a Rainbird freeze detector for an irrigation system. Rigged all this up myself because these systems are like $600. Cheapest one I found was $300 something. I built this, bunch of relays I had laying around, and some ingenuity, and a $9 freeze warning detector from Home Depot. So anyway, that's what that is. We're gonna get this dug up. We'll see what we got. Now, for anybody that wants to know about a pool system, this is your return line. That comes from your skimmer basket. Goes here, through your filter, back here. Now this goes up to a solar heater I have on the roof that's not hooked up right now. You can see both of these valves are off. So I can actually divert it to that direction, going that way, go up to the roof and back down. I got a solar heater. This is a chlorinator. It's an automatic chlorinator, so you don't need the basket that's floating in the pool, although sometimes I use them both, depending on the weather. It gets hot here, and of course that return, and it goes through a lot of chlorine. So that goes back to this return line. Now mine's kind of a rig because I've got a Rayvac, and that goes off the other return line, so I had to rig up the first return line. I could have done a better job, brought some 45s out, but I was young. Just did that years ago. Now if you look there, you got your drain at the bottom. This is the part that's like Mysterio to a lot of people. So the way that drain works is with the pressure differential. And this here's so when I get frogs in the pool, they don't drown. So if you look in the basket, right there is where the drain comes out, and there's a plate, the vacuum plate that's supposed to be on here. I don't have it on here right now because I don't care. I've been having problems, so I pull the vacuum plate out so I can look at stuff. And then on the back side is the line back to your pump. So the thing about this setup is kind of awesome. So now that I have this setup right here, there, kind of hard to do it that way, it's all backwards. I can leave it like that for a week, a month, however long it takes me to figure this out, and my pool will not go stagnant. All right, I dug down there, nothing's wet, completely dry. We're gonna leave that the way it is. It's well below the level of the pool. There's water down there in the pipe, so we will leave it open. If there's a leak, that'll fill up with water. All right, so we had a dry hole on the pump end. Now we're on the skimmer end, so here's the pipe coming out from under the sidewalk, going to the skimmer. I dug down, nothing, started getting moist. Look at that, we got water! So I gotta dig this whole joint up, see if I can figure out where this water's coming from. It appears to be coming from that way. There's an elbow right there, another a 90 degree. So this goes out, down, and over. Now, I did dry that. Believe it or not, there is pipe in the bottom of that hole. I dug down until I hit the pipe, but it rained yesterday, so it filled it in, but there was no water. So there's no water at the midpoint. There is water here. You can clearly see water coming out of there. Lots of roots too, so it's been leaking for a while. So there you have it, folks. Dig around that a little bit, see if I can find the break. And that's a gray pipe to a white pipe connection. I'll put a good guess that it's there. Sorry about the stutter, and I'm not editing this. It's going raw, just like this. All right, now that we've gotten this step, you can see there's a significant amount of water going there. You're gonna have to plug this. As soon as we cut that, all the water here that's higher than that is gonna end up in that hole. So I made this. They also make a Schedule 40 plug. Looks like a freeze plug for a car. But it takes like 1.25 inches. Nobody has one. So we're going to make something. Let's see if this fits. It kind of fits. Need some more tape around here. Get that to fit real good. And I think that'll slow it down enough I can fix it. Alright, way too much trial and error. We got that plug in there. And so now we can go back to digging, and I don't have to worry about, you know, the whole pool draining into this little hole. Alright, we definitely have the leak there. And you'll see there's sand all in here. And that's because last time I did repairs down here, I had the foresight to pour sand in here, make it easier to dig if I ever had to dig it up again. And looky right there, I got a compression fitting. I am in luck. So all I got to do is dig that up, undo that compression fitting, expose the end of that real good so I can get another one on there, replace the compression fitting, and fix this area. I'm in business. I now have a plan other than dig it up and find out what's wrong with it. Alright, we've got it dug out. I don't know if you can see that. It's my rather large pile of dirt. So, down in this area, you can see I had to get a hammer and chisel out that concrete because it's just too close. The break, believe it or not, it's not the joint. You can actually see right there where the crack is. I dug out underneath this pipe, except I left that joint supported underneath. So I gotta get one of those, an elbow. I've already got the 2-inch pipe. This is obviously where I had the problem 20 years ago. Thank goodness I had the foresight to fill this in with sand when I was younger. This would have been a heck of a dig if I just used dirt. Alright, it's the next day. I want to know if this thing is sealed or not. No water pouring out of it. Hey, that means that my little plug worked. Hey, chick. Well, it's the next morning. Google Fireman's morning in my neighborhood. Don't they know I'm over here trying to make a very important YouTube video? Well, I got that thing too. They're gonna be cranking out noise all day long. So, any background noise from my videos, that's why. Alright, here we go. We're gonna take the plunge, get my antique Sawzall out, and we're gonna cut that off, pull that pipe out, and then I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do. So what I've decided to do, I was originally just gonna cut that off and then tease the PVC off of that pipe and put another elbow just like it. And I decided instead I'm gonna use sweep elbows because they're less likely to break in that fashion. I mean, you know, I don't know how long this thing lasted. I did it 20 years ago, and it looks like there's been roots around that thing for 10. So we're gonna pull this all out of here and have a look at it. So I'm gonna go back to this joint. All right, here we go. Let's take the plunge. I got the blade on upside down to give me more room. Oh, I'm just going to use the bimetal blade. Come I probably should have used a bimetal blade instead of a metal blade. Oh well, done. Doesn't matter. They're gonna help. They're helping. Lily was just down in there digging. Now I gotta clear all that out. Alright, we got all this dug out. Now look at here. This is why you don't go in there with a spade and just dig, dig, dig. You gotta dig slow and careful. So I got this all cleaned out underneath. Now I can get my big pliers and get this section out of here. And then I can make a plan as to what to do. See right here that I am not leaking, so my little plug I made worked. Now, if I had forgotten that plug or it didn't work, that would be leaking like crazy, and that's why I drilled the little hole first, because if that was pouring water, then I could have put tape or something over it and then worked on that plug again. All right. Now, I gave this thing a twist. It was twisted this pipe, so that means I gotta back it up. So let's see if these things are big enough to back it up. They appear to be. Yep. Looks like y'all get to see me do this after all. I don't know how much of this you're gonna get to see. That's the dogs over there. Fence. The other dogs next yard. So. Hold that. Come on. And the whole thing's turning. Okay. That didn't work. I don't know if it's big enough to hold on to that. They might be. They might be. Come on, break loose. There it goes. That's what we want to see. Oh, goodness. It's been there for a really long time. Now I'm going to replace this because I don't want to dig this back up again. So this whole thing's coming out going in the trash. If I put it in with my other stuff, I'll be tempted to use it later on. Oh, that's good enough. I really shouldn't be tempted to do that, so we're going to take it away from me. Come on. Off you go. All the way. Goodness gracious. So 55 is starting to feel things, man. Come on. Off you go. There we go. Goodness. Good Lord. Come on, get on. Get off of there. Come off. Off. There we go. Problem is, I don't really have enough room to get this thing off. Well, I'm going to jack with it. Y'all don't need to watch that. I'm going to have to probably cut this in the middle here with the Sawzall so I can get it off of there. Okay, so kind of remember what I did now. We'll go ahead and loosen this in too. Almost, there we go. Woo! That's coming from the pump end. Just do the same thing in reverse. That's probably still good. Could probably reuse it. Yeah, maybe I'll throw it in my jump pop. Still getting a new one. Because I bought a new one. Okay. Next, I'm going to try to do an old trick of mine. See if I can't peel that off. That's awful short. I got to put something, elbow, or I don't know. If I can peel that off, keep that as long as I can keep it, I'll be better off than losing that inch. So I'll get the Sawzall. The very worst that will happen is I'll just have to cut it off anyway. Okay, don't fall over. I got that sitting on dirt pile. Anyway, so we went to a bimetal blade. I'm gonna just oh yeah, that's a lot better. Just gently. Do that. And you want to cut into the coupling, but not the pipe. So, then, screwdriver. Let's see how good it's glued. Come on, there it goes. Peel it right off. How about that? So I'm gonna go ahead and peel that right off. You don't need to watch me do that all the way. All right, that's not gonna work. You can see I peeled off the fitting, but that reducer bushing is just too thick. It's not gonna peel off. So, plan B, which is really plan A, but you know. That didn't work. I might have to get a different tool out. Let's see if this works. I don't like cutting this. I could have used a pipe cutter. Would have been cleaner, but this old gray pipe, I'm always worried about breaking it. And it's so much thicker than the modern Schedule 40. Since it's so much thicker than the modern Schedule 40, even though it's not as good, harder to glue, obsolete, makes me worry about, you know, putting a lot of squeeze pressure on it. Let me tell you, it's only 90 degrees out here, but it's hotter than the lead singer of Missing Persons right now. So next step, get your handy dandy razor knife. Really? Didn't want to open. Handy dandy razor knife. And yeah, I know they make tools for this, but I don't have one. Not this big. I got a little one. I'm gonna deburr this little guy here. What you marking at over there, Mac? You don't have to worry too much about cleaning up the inside. It's gonna go in your filter. You'll backwash it out. Doesn't matter. All right, that's clean. Now I gotta get this washed off with a rag. I can't even tell my hands. It's in the picture. I'm gonna assume it is. There it is. Get that washed off. Get that washed off with a rag. Good picture of my finger. So scrape it. Get it nice and clean. Get that washed off with a rag. And we're gonna put a fitting on there. So what I've learned from the last shot was you gotta hold the phone a certain way or your finger gets in front of the lens. This is a new phone for me, so new camera, new phone, whatever. It's a camera. Well, I couldn't find a rag, so I got the next best thing. Scotch rag. Get that nice and shiny. See, I'm picking up a lot of mud off of that concrete below. Make sure I don't get that mud on the fitting. All right, that's enough room for a fitting. Let that dry off. In this weather, that'll be about 2 minutes. So at the store, that one entirely, that's another project. That's a gate. My dogs decided to do an unboxing. We got this. We got that. Now the advantage of this is it works in tight spaces, but it allows the pipes to move around. The advantage of this, it's better connection, more glue space. I'm going to go with this one because I have room for it. And what I'm doing, because I really don't have to do this, I could put the elbow right on that piece. What I'm planning here is for the future. So in the future, if I got to cut that again, I'm going to be screwed. It's not sticking out far enough. So I'm going to put that on and put a piece of 1 1/2 on here and bring it on out. Where my hand is. Bring it on out, however much. So if I got to cut that again, I'll have something to glue to. It'll be easier to fix in the future. Now I'll go down and back over there. Now one thing I forgot to mention is my little plug in here, that little guy. That's 1 1/4 pipe. I don't think I told y'all what size that was. That's what I used, was 1 1/4. So, get that glued up. I don't know how. So I'll use a little primer. And there's 2 kinds of glue. You can use a cheap, crappy glue that's like $6 for a case. I like to use this stuff. Christie's PVC solvent. This stuff holds so much better. First you prime it, then you glue it. And this red hot glue works so much better than that $6 stuff. I don't remember C-Mex or Syntex or whatever it is. I got some around here. So that's what we're going to use. There she is, running at night. Now, I made a shot of this earlier in the daytime when I was putting things together, and my phone in its infinite wisdom did not save the video. Made a still shot. But anyway, I want to talk to you about PVC solvent. Christie's is the best one I've found. Odie is what you usually find, that's cheaper, and it's pretty good, but this Christie's is freaking awesome. The red hot glue. So what you want to do when you're putting this joint together, so after you cut this with the saw, you need to use a reaming tool, which they make a tool that reams, or you scrape it like this. Scrape all the little, I'm doing it with one hand here, but you get the idea. You just take the knife and you put it at an angle, and you don't cut into it, you kind of drag it, and you scrape all the little pieces off of here, all the little hanging pieces. Then you take the primer, and you prime, so you figure out how deep this is going to be, and you want to prime it as deep as, at least as deep as your joint. You want to prime the joint, then you want to come back and prime the pipe. Okay, and then you let the primer dry. It usually takes 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes. Once the primer's dry, then you goober glue all around here, and you goober glue all around in here. Then you put them together and give it about a half a turn, and that distributes the glue inside the joint. Like I said, I made this earlier, actually demonstrated it live, and didn't work out. So here we are. So that is my lesson on using PVC glue. First you prime it, wait for the prime to dry, then you hit it with the glue, make sure you got glue on both joints, then you put it in, give it about a half turn, and you'll see that later in the video. Years ago I had Arizona ash in this yard. I planted an oak tree. Why did I plant an oak tree? Because oak trees attract squirrels. Gives my dog something to do. Anyway, back to the job. So I really don't know how much I need here. I know I want a piece long enough I can splice into it a couple of times. So we're going to use these handy dandy pipe cutters. Big enough. Dadgummit. Back to the Sawzall. So I think that'll be about right. I don't want to go too long because I got to deal with this down here too. Let me show you something. Might be wondering where I got all this pipe. So I'm always on the lookout for stuff. Like here's a bunch of boards. They were nicely stacked till the dogs decided they wanted to dig into them, chase bugs and rats and stuff. Got that off the side of the road. And most of this I got off the side of the road. Some of it I bought. Most of this is side of the road finds. I'm always looking for 1.5, 2, 1.25 inch, and 3/4. And you go through where they're building new neighborhoods, and you can pick this stuff up. Most of that I got for free. And you always want to have a little pile of PVC laying around for your pool, because you never know. Now, one thing about leaks, trees aren't dumb. Trees are pretty dang smart. That's a solid root ball. That's a solid root ball. These are all root balls I pulled out from around that leak. So you want to make sure that you get that root ball out of there, because the tree's not going to be happy that you took his source of water away. So you want to dig all this root ball up and get it out of here. So things like that, they need to go. All of these roots, you got to get out of here, because that tree's going to be pissed about the fact that you took his water away, and it's going to try to get back into that pipe, because trees aren't stupid. Trees actually have quite a bit of sentience. They just live on a little bit slower time scale than us. They're not stupid. So we got to get all of this out of here. All these roots, because they know that pipe's there, and they're going to be looking for it once you remove their little source of water. So dig all that up and get it out of there. All these roots. So you notice I get a little bit further back, there's no roots. Alright, now you can see I used way too much glue on that joint. That's on purpose. It's underground, and that be pretty. It has to be strong. I brought that out. Now, if I ever got to revisit this, I can cut this off and I can have room to work. I'm going to come off of here with an elbow, go over there. Now then, about elbows. This is a straight up 90-degree elbow. See how it cracked right in the joint. The one that I cut off is a radius elbow. And I learned from this, don't use 90-degree elbows underground. Okay, so we're going to talk about fittings here. That's the fitting I had in the ground. This has an inherent weakness in that there's a 90-degree bend right there. These are nice for the same reason that these are nice. Space. I used a 90-degree like that because when I was younger I didn't know any better, and plus the way I fixed it, I actually got up in there and was trying to work in very small space. Seemed like a good idea at the time. If you look at that, this has a different bend in it. See, there's no real place for it to break except maybe here, but it's a less of a bend than this. Now the engagement area on this is larger than this, and that's an issue. And then there's two ways to reduce this. I'm going from 1.5-inch pipe, which I already have installed, to 2-inch, which is this. Use these are a lot stronger because that goes up inside here and becomes part of that fitting. We're going to use one of these. They require a piece of pipe in between, and I think this actually, yeah, see there's a lip in here, so this fits over 1.5 inches. That fits over 2-inch pipe, so I'd have to put a little piece of pipe in there. This is not as strong as this. The reason I bought both is because I didn't know which one I was going to end up using. I was actually considering just putting that right on the 1.5 inches, bring this out a little bit and put that. But then, if I ever have to work on it again, I would have limited myself because I'd been that much closer to the sidewall. So that's out. I'm going to use this and this and put it on that 1.5-inch pipe that I put in. Give us a nice radius. And on the bottom, I think I'm going to put it this way so that this radius is not being flexed by the flat pipe. So I'm going to want it that way to put this radius on the downside. Only, I mean not radius, but this sharp bend. This sharp bend here, I want it this way so that it's not being flexed as much as if it was this way. So I'm gonna have two. I got two of these. The other one's still in the bag, I guess. And that's how we're gonna do it. So this one is gonna go that way, not this way, for the same reason. I'm gonna try to limit how much flex these guys get if the ground moves around, which is what caused all this in the first place. Now I got this. This is not nearly as hefty as that other one, as the old one. So I probably bought that old one I got this at a Home Depot. I probably got this one at a plumbing shop. Years ago you couldn't just buy these things. See how much more hefty this thing is? I'd reuse this if I thought I could get away with it. But I don't like to dig, so we're not doing that. We're gonna use. Okay, so took a break. Still super hot out here. So we're gonna have to measure these. What I'm looking for is the vertical measurement here, because you gotta make this thing kind of backwards, inside out. Plumbing's always kind of backwards. So when you measure, you're measuring from this lip here, so you can just from the outside. And this isn't super precise rocket science, but the closer you get it, the better off you are. So I'm gonna just jam that on there for now. You don't have to put it all the way on. We're just looking for measurements here. We're going to hold this even over here. Problem is I got to stand right where I'm also working. It's also lots of fun. So hold that even. Get that roughly under it. We're getting a rough good measurement here. Oh, measure stick, and we got 7 inches. And this is going to be 14. So I need a piece 7 inches and a piece that's 14 inches. Measure that. 7 might actually be a bit. 7 work? Yeah. 6 3/4 is a little short. 6 7/8 and 14. Alright, so we'll cut those pieces. And we'll start putting things together. Oh god, I'm just too old for this crap. So there's our test fit. Looks pretty good. Now that's going to go there. So we're going to have to slide it up onto this pipe. So here's what we're going to do. So we got, this has to be at that angle, so I marked it. That has to be at that angle, so I marked it. Actually, that's not right. That has to be, yeah, it does. So I need to mark here as well. So we're going to glue these in this order. We got to glue that to there at that angle. And we got to glue this to that. We'll glue this to that, have it as an assembly. Then we'll glue this to that. And then we'll swing this over, and then we'll push the compression fitting down. And that's the fun of plumbing, is figuring out what order do I have to glue all this stuff together in to where I don't run myself into a corner or get something screwed up. So that's why we marked these angles, because they're very important to get this to set up right. So I got one more mark to make right there, right here, to get the rest of this right. All right. Okay, so we got, this is where that's going to go. There's the seal. It's in my pocket. Haha. So I wouldn't lose it. Now, to get the seal to go up here, go ahead and use a little water. Move that up a little. I'll allow the seal to get up on here. Make sure there's not any dirt. You notice there's dirt inside this pipe. You know why? Because I don't care. As soon as I start running thousands of gallons of water through it, it won't matter. See? With it being wet, it kind of slides right up. Take this. Again, make sure there's not any dirt in it. Especially along this sealing edge. So now, got that. So I'm going to put all this on there. I can tap it over. When I see the lines, I know it's centered. And we're good. So that is this guy. That's not a particularly crucial angle. Just look at that. Why I wear gloves. Look at that. Got purple on me. And go ahead and prime that. Go ahead and prime that for later. Don't know if I did that off camera or not. Doesn't really matter. Then we're going to let that prime sit for just a minute. This prime is already set. Glue that first. Then we'll glue this. Try not to get it on me. And I kind of want this to be generally with an arrow up, because my mark down here, I want to be able to see it. I can look down in here and cheat, and I can look to see that it's seated good. Doesn't matter, it's already glued. We're done. Love this Christie stuff. Works so fast. So, move on to the next thing and glue it. So here's the next thing. Pull this off. See, I got marks here. Go ahead and glue that first. The reason I have these angles is because they're actually kind of crucial to the bottom angle. Otherwise, they don't really matter. Prime that. Prime this. Prime that. Prime this. This is the fun part. It actually goes pretty fast. Okay. Got the primer out. We'll go ahead and prime this too. Got 3 marks. I did 3 marks instead of 1 so I could tell which way is up on this thing, as well as putting the arrow on it. Those 3 marks go there, like so. Done. Same. Over here. That. Do this. You mess this up, you're screwed. There we go. That should be about the right angle. Marks line up. Come on. Glue. A minute to glue. That's what glue. There we go, now it's set. That was a fun one, because I got them big feet in the way. So, that's not going anywhere. Yeah. This mark down here is not so crucial. It's pretty obvious. I just put a mark there because, hey, I had the marker out. Having fun. All right. Hot as Hades out here. That goes there. Come on, get on all the way up. Get on there. Then we gotta hold it for a minute. So while I'm holding it, you can see I got this on here. I got this stuff on this end. So I'll be able to slide that down and tighten it up here. I'm gonna go ahead and let this set for a little while. It doesn't seem to want to set up like I think it should. Oh, it's setting up. Okay, I'm gonna give it a few minutes, let it set up, then we'll come back. Slam this stuff together because I don't want to be beating on it with a hammer while it's still setting up. Alright, so now we're going to slide this sucker up. Do this the easy way. Of course not. Holding it to keep it from damaging pipe noise. Got a line here, got a line there. Oy. Line there, got a line there, we're good. And then trick this, slide it up. Like that. Get it in there. And then we'll tighten this up later, same way we got it off. Backing it up. I'm going to let this set for a little while because I want this glue to be really set. I also wanted this on there before the glue set real well. So I know everything lines up and I don't have some sort of boo-boo. So the next couple of steps, I'm going to get about 5 or 6 bags of sand. I'm going to fill this completely up over the pipe with sand. And then we'll fill it back in with dirt. That way if I ever got to dig it up, I'm digging in sand. I just came in for my last installment where I did the glue. Hot, hot, hot outside. 107-degree heat index. Oof. So we're going to just hang out inside for a little while. I'm going to go get some sand and I'll let that stuff set up and then we can do some negative pressure testing. Remember, this is negative pressure. So after I videoed putting in all those fittings, oop, I just sat on a dog. After I did all those fittings, I slopped a bunch of glue on it. Because remember, this is a negative pressure system. And the dogs are barking at somebody. Turns out it was the wife. That's who it was that was outside. So I added extra glue on all those fittings because it's a negative pressure. It's trying to suck in. And so then we're going to tighten up that compression fitting, and then we'll put some negative pressure on it. I'll see if I still have a leak. Hopefully not. And then let it sit for a few days. Make sure it's not leaking. Make sure it's not dripping. Probably put some paper towels or something under it so I can see. And then it'll be time to bury it with sand. Yay. Maybe I'm done. I hope so. It's hot. What's up, Lily? Did you just get out of the pool? Alright, so we're here on day 3. Let's check this for moisture. Nope, dry. 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 And we're just feeling underneath everything here. Dry, dry. So we got no water leaking. That's a good sign. So when the pump's off, water will leak out. When the pump is on, air will leak in. Finally, the moment of truth. So I noticed that the pump was just a little bit low compared to this, probably because the settlement of maybe the pavement, the concrete. So I put a little shim in there. That brought them up even. Let's see if I fixed it. Looking good so far. Otherwise, I'm going to be digging more. I'll call that a win. Take a little time for that to flush all that air out. Now I did check down in this hole, and it is completely dry. So this elbow's not leaking. Oh yeah, I'll call that a win. It'll eventually flush all that water out. Not air, all the air out, not water. Let it run for a few days uncovered. In other words, I'm not burying the pipes. Hey, Willie. And then once we get all the... Once I'm satisfied that this isn't going to leak, and if the dogs haven't already buried it, really, then I'll go ahead and fill that hole with this. And then whatever's left will be dirt. Here we are after a few minutes of running. That is definitely a win. Completely full. It's fixed. I'm going to leave that open, make sure any leaks don't develop over in that hole. 3-4 days, fill it full of sand. And now, the last step. Vacuum plate. Normal operation. Vacuum pool. That actually blocks off the bottom drain, so you can tie an old style vacuum into this. It's called a hydro control plate. So what this does is, the way this is currently configured, I just shocked my pool. That's what all this white stuff is. So you can see the majority of the current is coming down through this skimmer on top. There's very little draw on the drain. So what this will do, put it in here. This one's kind of broken because it's, 30, 40 years old. Put it in there like that. And so that restricts the skimmer. And you can see it already started a little tornado. It'll cause it to pull more from the bottom drain. And here I was blaming Lily continuously digging in my hole. Mac's trying to bury a ball in there. Oh well, he is digging it out. I'll just keep scooping it out, and he'll keep digging it out, and I'll make more room for sand.